Hi, welcome to the Fork Drum Closet podcast. I'm James.
I'm Marshall.
I'm Bryson.
And you can find us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube.
You can listen to these podcasts on Spotify, and you can purchase and message us on Reverb and forksdrumcloset.com.
Everybody out there who's listening to us and or watching us, we wouldn't do this without you, so I appreciate you greatly as well as Marshall does.
I also appreciate you.
Me too.
We do have a very special guest today. A friend, a fellow retail drum shop enthusiast. He owns his own drum shop here in Nashville. Bryson Nelson, welcome.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
This is one of my favorite places. This is great.
It's such a vibe, dude.
It really is.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Where did this vibe come from?
Sure. This kind of happened on, well, not really accident, but in a way, probably did. I was definitely more of a player, so I come from a playing background more than I did a collecting background. So I was touring a bunch in California. Not anything crazy, but just...
Is that where you're from originally?
It is, yeah. Placerville, California, which is like right outside of Sacramento. And I moved out to Tennessee with my wife because we could just afford a house. That was really the main reason we moved here. That wasn't going to happen in LA. So during that time, we just got married, and I was wanting to get off the road. So I was trying to aim more towards studio work. Mm-hmm. And this kind of happened just an accident. I did this for like 10 years, just buying and selling because I loved old gear.
Just buying and collecting old drums?
Yeah, I mean, they would all be stuff I used. Like, I wouldn't have just a massive collection of stuff that would sit there. Everything I ever bought, I used. And then I guess that same mentality just kind of slowly, organically turned into this. By accident, I did this out of my house for like a year. We lived in Franklin. I just kind of rolled with it. But I didn't move out here to start a shop.
Heard that.
Definitely not. Yeah. But I love it. I mean, I totally fell in love with it. Which, just not what I thought I'd be doing. Mm-hmm. But when I moved out here, it was a very intentional move. Like, I'm going to cut my road ties.
Right.
Stay at home with my wife. I've always been a homebody anyway. And then, and the shop just kind of happened. From that, I just had a bunch of extra drums, and I started selling them out of my house. And I always feel silly answering that question because it happened so naturally.
For sure, yeah.
But it wasn't something I was really thinking about until a friend of mine told me I should open up a retail shop. And I was like, oh, well,
so
yeah, sure.
When were you like, okay, I'm going to search for a building. Where am I going to put it? When did that kind of take place?
That was maybe 2 years ago. There's a company, A&F Drums, actually. They reached out to me about wanting to move out here and open up like a semi or a half like split retail shop. The two of us, we just split rent, and he would have his side of the shop, I'd have my side of the shop. And I was like, no way, man, I don't want a retail shop. I'm not really much of a businessman. I just love these things. Like, I don't know how to run a business. And we talked for a while, and we, not in a bad way, we're buddies, but we kind of just went different ways. His company, he's in Austin, of course. He started doing more of his thing out there, and I think they kind of put a break on Nashville. So during that time, he introduced me to Andy over at Drum Supply. Mm-hmm. We just ran into his building. I didn't know Andy at the time. Excuse me. That's gross.
Oh, no, we're all about the burps in here, man. There you go.
Excuse me.
So anyway, Andy and I just kind of hit it off, and we started talking about the whole retail thing together. And that's when we opened up a shop, and we did the same concept where we did half and half. He had half the shop for his parts and repair. I did my vintage thing, but still during that time, I was still playing. I was still half my income. Mm-hmm.
I don't know who you play with.
Nobody that would probably blow your mind, but just like a couple different indie artists over the years. And then I played like in CCM a couple years back, a couple artists in that world, and then some studio stuff here and there. Mm-hmm. But I've never been a hustler really with music in general, so it was just kind of the work that came to me. I rolled with it.
I mean, you seem like a very genuine individual. So,
thank you.
He is a genuine individual. When you were living in California, did you go to school for music, or just kind of something you grew up doing? Like,
I did not go to school for music. I took 10 years of lessons from Mike Johnston before he had his online thing. I took privately from him. And then he hired me to kind of or I shouldn't say hired me, he kind of hired me as an assistant in a way, and I became not a teacher through him, but he kind of coached me to be my own teacher, quote by quote. I was never a great teacher. But, so I did that schooling, I guess, for 10 years, and he was awesome. He's fantastic. And I moved out when I was 18 from California, and that's when I moved, or from Northern California to Southern California, and that's kind of when I started playing.
That's cool.
Full time, or full time enough to pay like $350 rent.
Right.
Yeah.
This might have been years before, but his room that he teaches in is really, really cool. Was it in that room, or was it something completely different than it?
It was at the end of it, but it didn't look like how it does now.
Okay.
At first, it was a place called the Drum Lab,
Okay.
which he owned, and he sold off to, I can't remember the gentleman's name. He was really kind. I can't remember his name. But anyway, sold off that shop, and then he started teaching out of his house for about 2 years. My dad did his wood floors. My dad's a contractor. He did his wood floors, and they gave me free lessons for like 2 years.
Sick.
So we did that with each other until the Folsom place, which he's in now. And then I took lessons there for probably another 2 years until I moved to Southern California.
Sick.
Nice. Mike Johnson, definitely a force in the YouTube community.
Yeah, he's the man.
He's got hands. Like the way he uses his upper body is very cool. I don't think I've ever seen you play.
Oh, you don't want to.
I think I do.
I'm being serious when I say I'm a hack.
Hey, from one hack to the next, it's all love.
We're in good company. Okay, good.
So you had the first shop on the east side. We're currently in the second shop on the east side.
Correct.
When was you're like, I need a bigger space. I got too many drums. Like,
yeah, most of it was getting a bigger space. Let me think about how to answer that.
This is super spacious in here.
mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I didn't even put that together. The small, it was a cozy shop, of course, but you were sharing it. I imagine things could get just a little cluttered.
Yeah. I think Andy and I were just kind of headed in different directions. Not, again, friends, buddies, but just kind of different directions with our mindset of the shop. And our thing was different, and we were working together. But I think the fact that there's just two businesses in one, there's a lot of like crossover and different things, and we tried to figure out how to handle that the best we could when we were under the same roof. But I think it just came to the point where it's time for us to kind of do our own thing.
Oh, definitely.
So that was moving over here, and we're still good buddies. We talk all the time, and
we just saw him at the shop the other day. He came in, picked up some stuff.
Yeah, Andy's awesome. We still work like literally every week. I send stuff over to Andy or vice versa, and it's still a great thing. But yeah, but definitely, space was a big part of it too. Yeah,
drums take up a lot of real estate. That's for sure.
Do.
And as you said before we got started, like most of what's in here was hand built by yourself.
The stuff I found, I like antiques more than I like drums.
Hell yeah!
So that's like,
Well, it definitely sets the vibe off.
Oh, well, thank you.
Yeah, this shop is aesthetically pleasing. What is the best part of working at Nelson? For it as far as like being in Nashville as a transplant from California, do you see music differently in Nashville, or do you feel like the shopping like experience? Like, I've never been to a drum shop in California personally, so I don't. Yeah. This is the only place I've ever seen.
The only shop that I was super aware about in California was Pro Drum. It's one of my all-time favorite shops. Like, that shop to me is like I don't feel anywhere.
It's cool.
No, absolutely not. That shop's amazing. It's an incredible shop.
You been to it too?
I've been there, bro.
Man.
Yeah, it's the best, man. That's where I bought my first vintage kit.
Yeah. What kind of vintage kit?
It's that old 60s Rogers kit. This was like 10 years ago probably. Oh, wow. But
you
Champagne Sparkle, I don't. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've sold off everything I own. I always think I'm going to keep it. I never do. I always
that Champagne Sparkle Rogers though, man.
Yeah, it's a beauty, man.
Mm-hmm. With a little age on it.
Yeah.
There's actually a Rogers drum right behind you.
What?
I don't. It's got a crazy badge on it.
Eagle badge. That's from the 50s. Yeah. It's a 1950s 6-lug. Super nerdy stuff. Super fun.
I love it.
That's why we're here, man.
Yeah.
That's why we're here.
Oh, absolutely.
We're all nerds.
When you moved to Nashville, did you know any other drummers?
I knew a few, not a bunch. Definitely not a bunch. I probably knew like 2 or 3 drummers just from different tours, but I didn't really know anybody moving out here. I wonder. I'm trying to think about who the first. Asa was actually one of the first people I met that works here now.
Shout out to Asa.
Yeah.
Sweet baby Asa Lane.
But a friend recommended him. Like, I was doing these cheesy videos out of my house, like these different drum videos I used to do a couple of years back. And Asa was recommended from another friend. And so we hit it off, but I just kind of kept bringing in different friends that way. That's kind of was my poor excuse to meet friends in town. Yeah.
Most people just go to bars, so.
Yeah. I've never been like introvert like that. So I'm just, it's
cool.
Wasn't my thing.
I only ever go to bars to like play. Like, I don't really just like go to bars to go to bars. Like,
yeah.
You drink at home.
Absolutely.
Do you have a favorite kit in the room right now?
I do.
I have to ask.
This kit over here, you probably can't see it on the video, but it's a dairy kit, which I've never even heard of until it came in. Tricks on drums. This changes like every week, but Tricks on drums are probably like my favorite drums right now. And there's a kit, it's a Speedfire kit, if you guys know what those are. It has like kind of the weird egg-shaped bass drum.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's called a dairy kit. It's a very similar kit to the Speedfire kit.
That one on the very bottom?
Yeah.
The green one down there?
The pink crocodile one that looks just crazy. You played it in space or something, you know. Probably like 80% or so of our shop is vintage. So it's all hand-selected stuff that I used to find. I don't have as much time finding it anymore. Most of the time now, people bringing stuff in or people reaching out, seeing what they have. But majority of the shop's that. As far as new dealers, we carry, I hope I get everybody on this, but we carry Sugar and Q, carry Barton drums, and all the cymbal companies, you know, a couple of the independent ones like Burn. We carry like some of the bigger ones like Istanbul and Zildjian and, you know, all those.
Yeah, so you guys had
things.
some Mehmet stuff over there.
Yeah.
It's hot.
Yeah.
Big
great.
fan.
Absolutely. And then a couple obviously you guys are Craviotto dealer. For us, it's just like more so used ones that we find that sound great. And CNC and standard and
just the multitude of brands I see looking around, you know, vintage stuff, like stuff I've never even heard of. You know, like you think you're knowledgeable about companies and brands, and then you look around and you're just like, I couldn't recognize 3/4 of these. It's like, wow.
Mm-hmm. We get some quirky stuff.
There's some sick stuff.
Oh, thank you.
It's something very, very nice walking into any music store that's not a corporate one. You just kind of see every little aspect of, like, you know, the small things like the ceiling. Like, you know, you didn't have to do that, but you did. And people walk in and they notice it, like, oh, wow, like someone really, really loves what they've done, you know, and like the hard work is put in there. And it's really, really nice from one drummer to another. I without a drum shop in Nashville exclusively, I definitely wouldn't be who I am today and having conversations with you. So this is really, really nice. And you guys have like the weirdest doodads, like so many kinds of shakers that you would like, bottle caps, checkers, like all these cool things.
1950s Budweiser
thanks,
can
man.
shakers.
Yeah.
Like, that's the shit.
Exactly.
I love 12, 14, 20. Doesn't matter what it is.
My man.
It's probably like, it's so cozy.
Yeah.
Everything about it.
I think me too. Like a 12, 14, 20 or a 12, 14, 18. Again, I'm going to say it. I'm very much a hack jazz drummer, but I love jazz playing. So those type sizes I get quite excited about. But then every once in a while I'll flip it out and do like a 13, 16, 26 or whatever.
Oh,
you know,
dude.
and try
Dude,
to
13,
fit
16,
that.
20. I love that feel. I just wanted to say how awesome it is, I feel like, to have multiple drum shops in the same city. Multiple independently owned drum shops, not corporate chains. Just because, like, at that point, it just brings more drummers in from all over. You know, it's like if you can go to Nashville, you can just go to one shop. But if you could go to 3 shops and you're a drummer all day,
absolutely.
make it a whole thing, like, I
Yeah.
think that's great.
Absolutely. Yeah, and they're all so different from each other too. So I feel like everyone can kind of get their thing, which is awesome.
Definitely. I mean,
Yeah.
we get calls all the time, guys looking for vintage stuff, and I'm like, we just don't have a lot. Go see Nelson. Like, they got the
Thank you.
They got the goods.
Everyone
Thank you.
underestimates that Nashville has plenty of local music shops. It's like, oh, I'm going
Yeah.
there to see music. It's like, dude, check out some of the shops if you play anything. You know,
Absolutely.
there's 5 guitar shops, 3 drum shops, like plenty of stuff to do, you know?
Absolutely.
And most drum shops are open right now, so you can go visit them.
Yeah.
You can't go see a show right now.
Limited capacity,
True.
and we hope that we encourage you to wash your hands, hand sanitizer, PPE, you know the thing.
Don't touch your face.
Don't touch my face.
What stool are you sitting on?
I don't know,
is
man.
that a Rogers?
I just sat down. That's a 60s Rogers canister throne.
What am I sitting on?
That's a white marine pearl canister throne.
What am I sitting on?
That is just a squeaky throne.
What are you listening to that sounds jazzy right now?
Ooh. Billie Holiday might be my all-time favorite artist. So I listen to a lot of Billie, or like a lot of 40s and 30s.
Just doing this podcast, it's been very educational, but it's also made me think, like, why haven't you guys done a podcast? I feel like this would be such a cool, you guys would kill it.
Oh, thank you. I literally just talked to Danny about this when you guys asked me to do it, because we were talking about, I've never wanted to have a podcast because I'm quite camera shy, so I've never thought I would want to be able to like speak on a microphone. Like, I didn't think people even want to hear me talk, you know. But I've had a few friends like, you should start a podcast through the shop with all these different drummers touring through or whatever. And I finally kind of caught on the idea, and we were going to launch it. Literally, this is not a lie. The day that the tornado came through, I was planning on launching it that day, like doing, like, I had all my artwork and my post. And I was like, okay, this is obviously not a good time. And then, like, right after that, the whole pandemic started. I was like, okay, well, it's really not time. And then the guy, my friend, Jay Bellaros, drummer, probably my all-time favorite living drummer, became a really dear friend. He was going to fly out and do our first episode. And the idea from it was just different drummers that were passing through that became good friends. It'd be more about their story, which is kind of the whole point of the shop. It's definitely more of like a hangout community thing than probably even advertised as a drum shop. I know it sounds stupid and silly, but anyway, like different guys coming through just kind of be about like their story and their career and so on, and not as much about probably what we're doing.
Definitely.
But anyway, it's literally, I have all the artwork. It's just like on my computer. It's just been on hold.
It's ready to go.
You didn't like record the podcast and like you sat on it.
No, like,
okay.
I mean, it took me literally a year to be like, I think I will do it, because I was just too nervous. Like, I didn't want to speak on a microphone and have like my self-record. I didn't want to listen to myself.
Edit yourself, look at your face, like, oh my God.
Listening to your own voice, hear all your little...
I guess the question now is, are you still going to do a podcast?
I hope so. I mean, the point of it is definitely about the people coming through. Mm-hmm. So I think until this thing picks up, I mean, we have local people coming through, but nobody's touring right now.
Right.
So I think when tours pop up, I'll probably launch it then, hopefully. But most of these people just became friends too at this point, so they just feel more like buddies than they do like, oh my gosh, that's that,
Right.
Different drummer. But I mean, like Jay was definitely, like, Jay was my favorite drummer for years. Jay Bellaros and Aaron Sterling and Matt Chamberlain. I mean, these guys are all just good friends of the shop at this point. And but there's definitely some people like Ginny Lewis comes in quite a bit, and like I had the biggest crush on Ginny Lewis when I was young. So she'll come in, I'm like, oh my gosh, I've listened to your music for so long, so I definitely kind of fangirled over that. And we've had Alison Krauss walk in, and different people that just come to hang out. And it's like
you've created a hang though, and it's nice. It's so cozy.
Thank you.
Just a warm place for people to come and hang out and just be friends. Yeah, we just have a good time with this. Yeah, me and Marshall were 3 weeks into quarantine. Like, we got to do something.
Literally, just like that. And probably like yourself, I was like, I don't know if people want to look at me or listen to me. I don't really know what I'm doing,
I'm 3 weeks in the house, unshaven. Like,
no, it's awesome. And I've heard people say good things about it too, so it's good. You guys are killing it.
Appreciate you, man. It means a lot. It's been very interesting.
Mm-hmm. Well, and just interviewing people like yourself and like hearing their story, like it only makes me wonder what the next drummer's story is,
I love the community, like the drummers, like you're talking about. You got guys that come in and just hang. Like, I wouldn't do this if it wasn't for that kind of thing. Like, just being able to.
It's the best part of it, man. Absolutely. Agreed.
Just seeing how like drums affect people's lives, and especially with everything going on with the COVID-19, people's livelihoods are affected. Touring drummers, big acts aren't going on the road. Yeah. I was curious how the coronavirus has affected you guys here.
Yeah, that was I definitely, I'm not gonna lie, it definitely was pretty freaked out right when it happened. I mean, for a lot of reasons, but for the business, definitely. We intentionally, I mean, Asa and Lim, that are both full time here, have been telling me for a year, 2 years, however long they've been working here, like, you need to put more stuff online. Like, it will definitely help sales. I'm like, nah, man, I want people to hang here. I don't want them to see it online. I want them to come to the shop. And like, so I was not set up for it at all. So when the whole pandemic went through and we had to close our doors, I didn't have any way to make money. Like, I had my website, but I maybe had like 10% of our stuff on there, just like enough to kind of help supplement. So that definitely freaked me out. So we kind of had to shift gears and really jump into that boat and start taking photos of stuff every day. And the job just kind of looked different this last 2 months. But I'm very, very grateful that our doors are open now, even though it looks different and it's a little bit slower. People have been really kind and really encouraging. And so, yeah.
I didn't realize how deprived of social interaction I was. Like, after being home for over a month, you get face to face with someone and you're like, words.
Yeah, it's true.
Like, my inner social commentary is like coming out of my mouth instead of just running inside my head.
Whenever you guys do like any demo videos, it's just basically people that come in and want to play them.
So I used to do all that stuff myself. I would do that. For the most part, I would do the engineering, or I'd pass it off to a buddy to have him mix it or whatever, because I'm like a D- engineer. But I had a video background. I did video photography for a while, so.
Really?
So I would film all that stuff, and it was just when friends would come in. It was when it was either dead or just really low key or before work. But it was always really organic. Rarely was it ever planned. It was just kind of like, oh, you're here. You want to shoot some videos? That'd be awesome. And then coming to this building, my job role changed a little bit. That's when Asa came on full time, and Lim came on full time, and Lucas has the restorations in the back. But at that part, my job just got I was way too overwhelmed with doing everything else, and so I just haven't been able to keep up with it. But just recently, I brought on Lim full time, where he'll be doing all the video and photography, which has been immensely helpful.
Very cool.
So hopefully we'll start doing them again.
Nice.
But they're just for fun. I mean, to be honest, I probably shouldn't even say this, but to be honest, I don't really know if it helps sell product that much. As more as it's just fun.
Mm-hmm. It's fun to do.
Most of the time, even by the time you're done recording it, you do all this work and then the kit sells, you're like, well, shoot, what do I do now?
Right.
Might as well just post it.
Exactly.
It's kind of like why we're doing this thing. It's like whether or not it's to sell product. We're just trying to create the community vibe.
Yeah, that's the best. That's the best part of it,
drummers, man.
Totally, that's the best part. Absolutely.
I saw you guys got some lessons room back there too. You guys do lessons as well?
We just started doing lessons. So we have a couple teachers that work here, and they're all awesome. They're just the same thing. They've just all been friends of the shop, and it just kind of organically happened. John Radford is one of our teachers.
Sick.
Yeah,
Love
so
John.
He's fantastic. Daniel Cox.
Daniel Cox.
Daniel
Okay,
Cox.
cool.
He's a teacher here. Eric, what is Eric's last name? Damn it. Natalie Prass's husband.
Eric Prass?
Not Prass. I think she kept her last name.
Oh, understood.
Eric, he's the coolest guy. He's super. I mean, these people are my friends. I just don't know people's last names.
I get that.
Yeah, it's not like I don't know them. These people I hang out with. It's hard enough to remember somebody's first name. There's so many people on the planet.
Dude, it's hard enough to remember somebody's first name.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not gonna lie. This is terrible too. But I forgot for a second your last name was Nelson.
Yeah.
Most
Bryson,
people do. This is Bryson. What are you talking about? What's his last name?
Yeah.
Nelson.
Yeah, it's usually the opposite. Most people don't know my first name; they just call me Nelson. Hey, Nelson. No, that's not me. Go talk to somebody else.
Mr. Nelson.
Nelson.
No. That's when you put him in the full Nelson.
Yep.
There you go.
Mr. Nelson is my father.
Are you feeling optimistic about the drum future, as far as after all this is done?
I'm excited for things to go more and more back to normal.
Right.
I had a couple of events planned. I was kind of bummed about. We had an event with Jay Bellaros. We'd done one in the past, but he was going to do another one, a little trio. It was just going to be like a $5 jazz night, which is what I love to do.
Cool.
It's just super
Sick.
affordable, where everybody can come hang out. Anybody can afford it. Usually it's the middle of the room, and then people will kind of spray out around it. So it's just, nothing's mic'd. Just maybe a small guitar amp and a live drum set, no mics on it. But have that. We're talking to Matt Chamberlain about doing one. Been talking to him about it. And
Is he local?
no, Matt's in LA. Jay's
Okay.
in LA too. A lot of the different guys that were coming in to do this were out that way.
And just jazz in general, I feel like should be more exposed.
But I love the Nashville music scene. I think it's pretty cool, and I love the pace here. I love it. Just everything's way slower. LA is way too. I love LA. I should say that. So no one's like, hey, but it's just too fast paced for me. I love how slow this is.
I gotta
Much more
ask,
my pace.
being that you love 40s and 50s music, when you moved here, did you find that you discovered a love for old country music?
I've never jumped too heavy in the country game though. Overall, I love old jazz and soul and even old rock like Fleetwood and that whole game. But not that I dislike it. It's just I've never jumped in that pool as much.
It's always a stigma. It's like, oh, you come to Nashville, you best like
Well,
country music.
that's what I really like about Nashville is because it's so diverse.
Yeah.
The players are so diverse. You got metal guys and hard rock guys, and you got grunge bands, and you've got hip hop acts, and you've got country guys who go on the road with the big country stars these days, and you've got jazz guys like yourself. There's so many aspects of drumming located here. I heard someone say 30,000 drummers live in Nashville.
Oh my goodness, that's crazy.
That's a lot.
I believe it, but that's nuts.
That's a lot of silent stroke heads, man. So do you have a private selection at your house of just your private selection?
So
drums?
I used to. And now we live in a tiny home, so I don't have a single drum in my house.
Wow.
It's crazy. I have a tambourine. That's it. And I have a couple drums here, but it was more like it was gifts from friends that have passed through. I kept it because it was sentimental to me, but most things all like I had a Mardi Gras 60s Slingerland kit that I just bought for myself. I had it for like 2 months. I was like, I'm so excited to play this. I hit the rack tom and I sold it. It sounded awesome. I just was like, I'm not playing anymore. This doesn't make sense. There's way better drummers than me. They need to keep this stuff, not me. It's about like maybe a 10th the size of this room.
Wow.
So it's crazy small. We had to sell everything.
That's wild.
Other than these drums.
What prompted you guys to do that? Just the feeling of, just wanting to downsize, or?
I'll admit it was mainly my wife, and just because I love my wife, so I was like, yeah, I'll do it because she's awesome. But I love being minimalistic, but that minimalistic was tough. I think not having like a single drum in the house was kind of like, well, this might be a bummer, but it hasn't been because we're like maybe half a mile. So if I really need to go out and play,
there you go,
slide over here.
There you go.
Yeah,
that's the dream, dude.
But it's crazy. It's definitely one of those places where you're like, you open up a curtain, it's like, okay, there's your clothes here, there's your shower right here. It's like,
right.
That's little nuts.
Your razor's next to the toothbrush, next to the spatula.
Yep.
It's a lifestyle change.
It's a major lifestyle change. Yeah. Luckily, we have like a little bit of land, so we have like a hammock outside. And
is your tiny home like on wheels, so you could like hook a trailer to it? And
it's gonna sound even crazier. You're gonna make me like, wow, this guy's a weirdo. It's a school bus tiny home. So it's literally a school bus that has been gutted out and is made into a tiny home. So it's got the whole.
I love that, dude.
Wheels on the bus. I love the whole thing.
So you could drive it if you needed to.
Yes. We took out the driver's seat. It's in my office. It's like if I have to bring an employee and talk to him, it's like he sits in that chair.
Listen, boy, you're in the driver's seat.
Yeah. But yeah, so that seat's out. We had to like make that space literally, which is a small amount of space, just to like put more clothes and other stuff and like our broom or whatever.
The broom goes here.
Yep.
So do you guys have to go out and buy a school bus? You just like found a used school bus?
We found an already converted one.
Oh,
so my dad flew out and we picked it up in New Hampshire. And it was already all done and gutted and so forth. So we changed it. Like we painted the inside and that was basically it. So
cool.
It's so crazy. We've been living it for like maybe 9 or 10 months. And I think I'm definitely coming to like I think I'm ready for the next thing.
Yeah.
But it is fun in the time being.
Do you have any pets?
We have a cat.
Okay.
Yeah. It's my wife's pride and joy. Yeah.
Boy, girl?
Boy cat.
What's his name?
Baloo. My wife hated cats too, and she found him like he was a stray cat at a park, and so she just found him and we took him in, and it's became her whole world. She might like the cat more than she likes me.
You said Blue or Baloo?
Baloo, like from the Jungle Book. Yeah.
That's awesome.
He's got a little bandana and he just walks around, does his thing.
What color is he?
He's a gray cat. So I think he's like technically a Persian blue.
Okay.
Yeah.
Blue eyes?
Maybe.
Oh, I'm a cat guy. Sorry.
Oh, me too.
I've got two myself.
They're the best. What type of cats do you have?
I've got a 3-year-old, short-haired. He's all white, and his name is Gilgamesh. And then I've got a 7-month-old. She's all black, and her name is Nix.
Stevie Nicks. There you go.
Marshall just got a dog as well.
He's on the ground right now. He is sleeping. He is 15 weeks today. This is his pride and joy.
There it is.
Oh, Mel, he's so cute.
It's like, that's Mel.
We're just playing into his delusion. It's okay. Do you have any interests outside of music, outside of drums, outside of cats?
Yeah. I tell people this all the time when people ask me, like, why did you start a drum shop? I mean, for me, it was really more like the community and the hang. Like, I love drums, is what I do, but I would have done the same thing cooking. I love cooking just as much as I love drums, or finding old antiques if there's a way to make money off that somehow. I don't know.
Clay Fuqua would know.
Yeah, Mr. Clay. Love that man.
We're trying to get that boy on here.
You should. That is the best of the best, man.
It's only a matter of time, honestly.
It's only a matter of time.
Good. You need to make it happen.
So what would be your favorite recipe? Or I know everybody at home is probably. I know I've been cooking so much at home with the whole quarantine thing, not eating out. What's been like your go-to?
Well, it's a good question. It's had to change a lot. My wife just recently became, I know this is very controversial, but my wife recently just became a vegan. And so she's like jumped full stream like vegan activist. And so out of support for her, I jumped on that train too. So, and it's new for me. So like I love steak and I love all the things that are good like that. So I'm just trying to create new things with that. Like this morning, I made us a big breakfast. That was pretty good. It was weird, just like a stuffed bell pepper with sausage in it and fake eggs, or whatever you want to call them, vegan eggs in it. And last night I made us really good quesadilla. It does not sound impressive because it's not, but it was still a good quesadilla.
Hell yeah.
I love quesadillas.
Yeah.
Man, I love cooking with sweet potatoes. Like,
there you
making
go.
anything sweet potato, it's so good. Like, just roast them, make like sweet potato fries. Give me some yams, dude. Some yams.
Burritos, unfortunately, have saved my life in all ways. Vegan burritos, steak burritos. But I've been eating quite a lot more veggies myself this quarantine. And vegan cheese I've been experimenting with. It's very, very good. It's very tasty.
Some of it's good.
Some of it is like, this is really yellow.
It's like this tastes way too much like American cheese. Like,
Yep. But there are some really good ones. Yeah.
I mean, I've made like a vegan sauce before, like a vegan cheese sauce. You boil potatoes and carrots together and add a bunch of like nutritional yeast.
There you go.
So like, I don't know if you ever used nutritional yeast before.
I have, but not for...
It's so good. Like it kind of adds like a funky like cheesiness to it, especially if you use some like paprika and garlic salt.
There you go.
That kind of thing.
Do you like to cook as well?
I love to cook. Oh man. I'm all about some meals. I gotta say though, my favorite thing to cook is breakfast. Breakfast food all day. Absolutely. Biscuits and gravy, eggs, man, so good.
Probably drink coffee.
I do.
What is your favorite coffee shop in Nashville?
Oh, well, this one now. I mean, because I love those guys and they're my friends. But before that, like Dose Coffee. It's literally, so I'm going to tell you where I live. So if you want to report me, that's just fine. But I live right across the street from Dose Coffee. Like I could walk there.
Oh, nice. On the east side?
Yep.
That's 742 Eastland Avenue. Moving now.
But yeah, I like that place. The hang's good, and it's not like, it doesn't have like that pretentious kind of like I make coffee better than you type thing.
Right.
You know.
Do you have any advice for any musicians right now that are kind of struggling to cope with what is going on with the gigs? And
yeah, I mean, I have an opinion,
sure.
I guess. I would think, like, I mean, fear is obviously like a huge dismotivator. So I think being obviously smart and kind and respectful to other people, and going out and just being safe and trying to get slowly back to normal, because this thing will pass. I mean, and then life eventually will hopefully be somewhat close to what it was, or like what it was. I do think people need each other. So no matter how much this thing is a temporary thing, because eventually, like, people just have to have community. They have to have that in some type of form. Not saying like let's go out and be dumb or whatever, but I think, yeah. So I think just hold tight, I would say, and just try to stay encouraged. Watch a bunch of drum videos and try to learn some shit.
Oh yeah. It's given a lot of people, plenty of time to kind of recenter and think about, what do I actually want to do? Like,
yeah, totally.
I mean, some people, I know guys that got laid off, and they're like, now I have the time to devote towards my passion.
Totally.
I was in a field I didn't want to be in, and now I can devote time towards the passion.
Yeah.
Everybody's being very creative in this time.
I think so. I think it's there's some parts of it that are probably actually a really big gift too. I mean, obviously people dying and getting sick, that is the furthest thing from a gift. But on the other end of it, there's a lot of probably perspective changes for people, and like different type of appreciation for people, different type of community and stuff that will probably happen from it.
The time that you wish you had, you now have. So
yeah, there you go.
As always, tag us in your licks, your drum videos, and things that aren't drum related, because we like to stay connected with you guys. If you want to listen to these cool podcasts, you can listen to them on Spotify and YouTube. And any questions that you have, you want to be on it, you want to ask a question, it's podcast@forksdrumcloset.com.
Bryson, where can everyone find you?
NelsonDrumShop.com is our website.
And at Nelson Drum Shop, I imagine, on Instagram and all the social
Facebook,
medias and stuff.
Yep.
Sick. I just really feel fortunate to be able to sit here with these fine gentlemen and just get to talk about drums, talk about cooking, talk about cats. I love it.
Awesome.
Thank you, Bryson.
Oh, thank you. Thanks so much for having me, guys. It's awesome.
It's a special neighborhood here in Nashville, especially if you're a drummer, and you're very sweet for inviting us in, or having us in here, really. And yeah, I would love to do this again. This is
likewise.
a treat.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I can't wait to see you guys on camera as well.
Oh, thank you. We'll have you guys over. It'll be fun.
All right, boys. I picked up some Black Abbey on the way here. This is the 5 Points India Pale Ale. Black Abbey right here in Nashville, Tennessee.
Oh. Oh. Oh, that was a good one.
There we go.
That's why one of my snares.
There you go.
Yeah.
Social distance cheers, boys.
All right.
Cheers to good friends of mine.
Bryson, thank you.
Thank you.
And thank you guys.